I mentioned that I'm an accountant by profession. Interestingly, Panjo Subujo Jikida session थियो, इरा panel discussion में statistics दिवाना के medical profession में पावटे hetra people lying within the profession from our Jamaat. I'm interested to know if there are any statistics relating to accountants. Do we know how many accountants we have in the Jamaat? It's a very noble profession.
Around
50. 50. I can assure you, for every doctor, there are at least three accountants, or probably even more. Okay, so economic empowerment and upliftment in the Jamaat, that's what we're here to discuss. And I would like to thank the panelists for being present here and talking to us. I will start by asking, or I want us to understand what structures we have currently in the Jamaat for economic empowerment and upliftment. And I would like to ask Brother Abdul Hafiz to please provide detailed insight on the Umeed scheme.
Jazakallah Abdul Qadir. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Three of those are supporting business, and one of those is supporting employment. So the fourth wing, if you want it, is employment support. For business support, there is capital support, which is mainly through our Umeed scheme, and to a very limited extent through the welfare committee zakat funds as well. Second is marketing support, the Buy Memon, Build Memon slogan, and the projects, including what we will see on Saturday, inshallah, at the Burhani ground from the Economic Empowerment Committee, where we provide platforms for our people to market their products and services. And third is basically training and motivation. It's just educational support in terms of getting business skills, applying them, and generally motivating people to take business as the alternative route to their economic empowerment away from employment or alongside employment.
So basically the hustler idea.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Abdul Hafiz, I read your abstract on the Umeed scheme and the challenges that we have faced. Could you just give us some highlights on what issues and what challenges have we faced while implementing this scheme?
Two principal challenges. One, the size of the fund available to us limits the amount we can lend to any borrower. I'm sorry for anybody who's not aware of the Umeed scheme. It's a microfinance loan scheme for businesses in the Jamaat. The abstract has more details. But the maximum amount we can lend is essentially for very micro level businesses, which our people are not keen to take up even as the first step on their business journey. So that fund needs to be expanded so that we can lend a lot more to an individual borrower to engage or venture into a business that has meaning and ownership to them and meaning and ownership to the community as a whole. The second challenge is that, and for those who spoke about the health insurance this morning, a parallel problem that we are facing already is that our scheme is still run on a voluntary basis by a Jamaat committee. Something like Umeed needs to have an independent body that runs it like a business, that has people who are dedicated to doing that, not relying on volunteers who can only do it evenings or weekends and sometimes not at all.
Right. Because I'm imagining a situation where we are giving out loans to eligible business people. Right now, the amount of loans we are giving, like you mentioned, the pool is not too big. So you can only give up to a certain amount.
200,000 shillings.
200,000 shillings. Now, if we are to expand this, if we are to go further and increase the amount. I happen to do some work for the Ithnashri Jamaat, for example, and they have such a scheme in place where they give out $15,000 to eligible applicants. But the process is they appoint a professional who then advises the business, looks at the financials of the business, how the business is performing, and reports back to the community. So if you rightly said, if it's on a voluntary basis, then is that really possible for us to do? Because as voluntary workers, we are all limited. We all have limited time. I mentioned that Abdul Hafiz happens to be the chairman of the Economic Empowerment Committee, but that is just one of the many hats that he happens to be wearing. Okay, so that's probably food for thought about how we want to go about implementing such schemes. Right, I would like to now ask, and I'll ask the panelists by turn, what is your take on economic empowerment, and how do you think we can improve our current economic empowerment methodology?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All protocols observed. There are, of course, many concepts that I was thinking about as well, pertaining to your question, but there is one thing that I have realized in my career as a recruiter. I started as a cosmetologist, but come Corona, and I had to look at the society and the challenges people are facing, and I had to start a small recruitment agency, whereby we also do one-on-one counseling. We have to understand what challenges individuals are facing. So apparently, the way your question goes, there are people who are, we can say they have the will to move forward, but they have setbacks. The biggest setback is either a tough mindset. Another one is age. There are those who are financially constrained, who cannot progress further. They cannot go to, colleges. They cannot afford that. For that, I came up with this idea. Probably, if it can work, maybe we can get together and invest at a global level. But we start like with baby steps for the Nasapuria Memon Jamaat on the Mombasa side. We can start with that. Probably like an example, let's say, we open a tailoring class, whereby the aged are not given, and aged I don't mean old, I mean between like 40 to 60. But they have the willpower, they want to do something, but they can't. So if it's possible, we can train them on levels of division of labor and specialization. So they are not getting a hectic work on themselves. They can probably, maybe one section just learns to do the collar work, the other one is just doing the sleeves, something like that. At that, people are getting empowered individually, as well as the Jamaat is benefiting at another level. Thank you.
So what you're saying is basically providing skills as well.
Exactly.
Right? To such
just
people.
the way our Jamaat, the college has started vocational skills. I've been part of the lecturers there as well. I noticed one thing, that there is a lot of vocational skill that is left behind. We can, the way it is already started, but we can actually emphasize on it. And we can add different ages as well. We can use our own people. They get motivated, they get their payments, instead of being at the capacity for, let's say, somebody with a lot of low self-esteem approaching and asking for zakat, would actually feel like, yes, I have a day to look forward to, and I have an activity that is empowering me. That's a bright day. That's already empowerment and uplifting, if it's possible.
Excellent. So basically giving the people the will and self-esteem.
Exactly.
Is what you're talking about.
Yes.
Excellent.
Precisely.
Thank you so much. Brother Hasnain, please give us your views.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So actually, to add on to what Brother Abdul Hafiz said in terms of the economic empowerment and the uplifting, the Umid scheme, I had some idea about it, but there wasn't much of idea as to what that was inclusive. So it's quite nice to hear that this is happening. However, one of the other options that we could have over and above for those larger business projects, that is within our community and within our Jamaat, we have several, mashallah, well-to-do members who have the resources and the finances available, who are able to fund, more like the shark tank of the community. So supposedly, if we have some able young people who are coming in with some good business ideas, we could have alternatively, and today we're talking about the global forum, we are talking about uniting. So we have, imagine having people expressing their interest in terms of being able to invest. Because if you look at any community, there's two kinds of, there's one who has a brilliant idea, but does not have the funding. On the other side, we have some members who have the money, but don't have the time to run those other businesses because they are committed in their own businesses. How do we get these two to meet? This is where now, which Brother Hafiz has said that we need to have one person or one or two people who are permanently employed to be able to manage this. So perhaps we could create a combination of the Jamaat, the Umeed funding, which could be at the same level of 100, 150, 200,000, as per saying. Then the respective investor could have the opportunity of investing in further. And then they are also given the opportunity in terms of the management, like making sure that they're being given advisory services, consultation, connections, network. Because we all know these days, and this day and age and time, business is done based on relationships. I know you, you know me, let's work together. All right, connections and network is the most important. And one of the key things that people miss out on is the networking element itself. So that would be a possible area I would also propose.
Basically, what you're talking of is something like venture capitalism, yes, where an investor puts in money for a return of a certain amount of stake in the business, and where he has a say in the running of the business.
Somehow, yes. He has a say in the running of business more in terms of the board level, advisory level.
Advisory level, yes. Thank you so much, Asneen. Brother Suleiman Shakil Bachu, please tell us your views.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First off, I'd like to appreciate Dr. Abid for brokering this forum. Now to circle back to your question, as a budding entrepreneur, I run a freight forwarding company. It's been 1 year now, almost. So I've discovered some teething issues with regards to support systems, which I believe our community members need to tap into, which includes financial advisory, which includes technical advisory, and basically where the economic empowerment can come in is to act the bridge, to serve as the bridge between the two, between the venture capitalists, between the suppliers who have the technical prowess in giving guidances, because a lot of statutory requirements, for instance, these are things that entrepreneurs need to be guided on, because they might have a good business idea, but they don't know what tax outlays are required on that particular venture. And today KRA is very, I would like to equate them with mafia, actually. I think my fellow businessmen will know what I'm talking about. We fear KRA more than the Kenya police, actually. So, yeah, what we can do is we can have pitch deck presentations, which can be facilitated by the Economic Empowerment Committee. They can assess, and then they, instead of having just a threshold of 200,000, so to speak, or an ad hoc committee under the Economic Empowerment, they can look for capital venturists, which I believe Brother Asneen mentioned. So that way, I think we'll be able to flesh out more entrepreneurs.
So basically, we're talking of support systems for entrepreneurs, upcoming entrepreneurs especially.
Yeah, I'm indirectly marketing your company, by the way.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, support systems for aspiring entrepreneurs, right? Because there are a lot of requirements, compliance. We mentioned KRA. For those of us, brothers and sisters that are not from Kenya, KRA is the Kenya Revenue Authority, the equivalent of your IRS in the US and in Canada and etc. So the Kenya Revenue Authority, there are a lot of requirements, there are a lot of laws There are other laws as well, county laws to follow, to comply with. So he's talking of getting support in that respect from professionals, right, who can provide and guide or give a holding hand to budding entrepreneurs as well. We have Brother Iqbal Mamdan, Iqbal Uncle. I would like to hear your views on economic empowerment and upliftment.
Economy empowerment, amukaina, even if you try to help them, they don't want to help themselves. Basically, we have to monitor them. Found enough people who can monitor them weekly, or maybe 2 weekly, once in 2 weeks. That's it.
Thank you, Iqbal Uncle. Again, I touch on, yes, we are giving.
Being in the business, yes, is a pain in the neck. So we need to advise and educate our young entrepreneurs on the risks and the tax outlay. Of course, there are the other statutory functions that also they need to know. So yeah.
Thank you, Zuli. We have.
Assalamu alaikum. Chairman and members in the House, what structure so far that has been put forward in the economic empowerment that you already have does assist, and from that, when we're sitting in the managing committee, what we learn and what we see, and then when you look at it on people who come to you directly outside, on what sort of support you can give or how you can increase income of people who do not have enough or none at all. And with that, the only concern we might be having is a grant fund available to be able to support. Secondly, I have seen Hafiz Bha and his team. They have tried very hard to make people understand what is the support coming for and how to manage it. That is our major challenge. We are sitting here. I don't think any one of us are in that capacity of receiving any such support. We are actually the ones giving. If we are the ones giving, and the people who are receiving need to be educated into what is to be the benefits they can get and the profits they can get or the support they can get, they should not feel, ye moke pucha kare to paisa ke davi to hai. Inke hi chono kabe na uncle bana, sorry ha hi kyo hai moke da help karo. We have, I'm saying myself, I have put myself many places. Whenever Hafiz Bha is giving out the money, I do go to them individually. Believe you me, I think you have given 16, 15 or 16? 12. Not one has come back and said, Uncle, can you help me in your county? Can you help me in sourcing people? So it is important for us to educate our recipients that tomorrow they have to be the givers. And that's what is important. Zakat pa diuta, hini ke pa agya khanechu, the hini saware zakat din. And that is our principle as per our religion as well. Thank you, Chair. My apologies, Chair.
No problem. Thank you so much, Wahid Uncle. So basically, again, what we're hearing is the mechanisms that are to be put.
So my point here is that more than, if you look at our journey for the 100 years, our forefathers, most of them set up businesses that succeeded. They went on ahead to send their children to universities, and those ones are now employed mostly in the service industry. If we continue with the same trend, then if you look at, I'm not an economist, but if you look at the trend that we are going into, we will not see our Jamaat prosper financially if we do not venture into business. So this is the next focus that I would suggest that our community looks into. Thank you.
Corporations came in and started opening mega shops, mega outlets. All those dukawalas started losing business. They all winded up. What happened to those dukawalas? They started educating their children, becoming professionals, what we are seeing. And I would agree with that. I'm very happy to hear some of the same points that are being discussed here. We need to get back to that. We need to become what we call industrials. We need to be employers. We need to go into manufacturing sectors. We have a lot of, alhamdulillah, a lot of expertise here, a lot of, I would say, a lot of human resources out here, which we can tap on. What you mentioned, Asnan Bhai, is exactly what we in Sulaiman were just about discussing about it. Yes, we need to have a structure which is independently run, to what you're talking as a Shark Tank, and we have investors chipping into. So that 200,000 shillings, inshallah, can even become $200,000, where you have 3-4 investors chipping in into one particular venture and owning a part of the business. So to me, we need to get back to what we were.
The wrong group of people, basically, you see, because the middle class is what you should be targeting rather than the lower, middle class, actually. So I don't know, because I was a bit, kind of outside, so I don't know if that was touched on. So that was one of my questions. The second question is, we just heard in the previous panel that we are spending as a community 35 million Kenya shillings in medical bills. So perhaps if some improvement takes place there, then obviously you would be able to get that more money to be able to kind of spend onto economic empowerment as well. And I think we have spoken about it even when you are in Nairobi some time back. That is the second question. And the third question is, do you think zakat as a concept is a misunderstood concept in the current times by the givers and the takers?
Thank you, Sulaiman Ba.
Yes, absolutely. Even Chairman Mombasa mentioned it, that once we save that 20 to 35 million, okay, of course we will have a huge pool available, okay, to focus on economic upliftment, which is where, we should be going. So yes, the simple answer is that. Whether we are targeting the wrong group, again, I think somebody said it in the very first session, and we have tended, it's not only COVID, our Jamaat generally has tended to be reactionary in its policy making. Our forefathers had the ultimate foresight, that's why we have what we have, okay? But usually whenever we've taken a step, it's because something has happened and has pushed us in that direction, okay? Very rarely have in the last, I would say, 30 to 40 years, the Jamaat taken a step by looking well forward and saying, yeah, 20 to 30 years, this is what the Jamaat will need, that's why we are taking it. Our forefathers started with baby class, education, education, education. Dr. Samira is absolutely right. As good as that has been as a policy, as far as it has taken us, and I spoke at a recent event in front of the chairman, I said, that could have been, in some ways, a mistaken focus, a mistaken policy. Because what it has resulted in is that we've become risk-averse and employment-focused. Every person who's getting out of an educational institution at whatever level, his next thought is, how do I get a job to get a monthly package that will feed my family? Okay? There are very few who are walking out of that, who are thinking, how do I get into a business and make an unlimited source of income for me and my family and my progeny. So, again, as I said, the problem is we've always been reactionary. I've said it in my paper. Ummeed started because somebody had the foresight to give an apartment for a microfinance fund. Umeed started because nobody knew what microfinance was. So for about 6 to 8 years, that money, the rental income, just kept accumulating until it was suddenly 1.52 million shillings. There's money, we can do something with it. But we can only do microfinance. So let's do microfinance. Let's start Umeed. It took 2 years to set up the scheme. And then it kicked off. Okay? And this is where we are. So it is because the money was limited that our limit was set at that level to focus on purely very microeconomics. But I'm sure some of you will be aware, as a force all over the world, microfinance has been excellent in lifting so many people out of poverty. Okay? And that's why we felt confidence that we could start at that level. But we have reached a stage where we have to move to the next level. We have to take care of the middle class. Okay? Now, I think towards the end, I will get an opportunity to give my solution for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Hafiz. We need to move on to the next discussion point. Thank you, Shabiba. So we'll move on to the next point. Let's now talk about business and investment opportunities.
Business and investment opportunities. First and foremost, we need to train our people to get into business. Opportunities, I would rather say they come as at the secondary level. Primarily, we have to focus on people. We see somebody approaching us, let's say for a loan for business. That person, is he really qualified to start off a business? That is the objective. If we cannot figure that out, then it's like you're just wasting money, your time. You put somebody on that project and it's all wastage of time. So once that one is sorted, then we can go to level 2, looking at the age set that is available. Those who are desperately in need of work. We can invest, and investment will give so many others employment. So many others, the houses are going to start running, which are stagnant due to COVID. COVID, okay, it has been some time, but still now, I'm seeing that it has been in the mindset of the people. It has taken people backward a lot. Where comes investment? Investing in a source that understanding how much, let's say, if we are talking, okay, I will straight away go into particular fields. Let's say where cosmetology is concerned. This is one of the projects whereby all ladies need that. Okay? I'm a cosmetologist by profession and by passion. I realized one thing. This is one thing that you can never miss out, no matter what. We can think of how the ladies can start working on themselves as well, so that they are not always handicapped towards the normal 8 to 9 jobs. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Then the other thing comes, empowering them as well. Okay? The journey of a lady, most of the time I have seen, okay, I'll not only say upon ladies, we can say generally. It comes from a certain mindset, and it doesn't move forward till somebody comes and gives them a hand to uplift them. There are some who have the desire to move forward, but they don't have the finances. So I would rather we look for an opportunity and we can invest on people who have tried businesses before and they have failed probably. So they already know that yes, these are the pros and the cons of it. Being a failure in business is not a sin. Being a quitter is a sin. Thank you.
Thank you. Some of the biggest businesses in the world, the owners, and finally come up and come to be known as the businessmen that they are today. Brother Hasnain, please, 2 minutes, give us your views.
Biggest challenges that we have at the moment, just like one of our sisters in the morning concerning the health screening, I think it was Dr. Hafsa would say that there is, you see, our education system has been built to train our young children to go into employment. It's not just the parents and the community member and the community. The education system has been built that way. Now, so many times I've seen that our community leaders have tried to come up with several conferences. Like there was one that was in Arabic called the Karobar, and recently I think Brother Abdul Hafiz also tried. But just like the way the screening, we have a lot of, there's been a lot of non-response and non-support from the community members when even our community leaders are trying to engage and be able to part with some knowledge about business. Like we say that a lot of people have been trained to know that they are going into the education system, they're going into a formal employment. But it is these sessions that actually open up eyes, open up minds. This is where parents have to take in responsibility, because that knowledge has to, that sort of knowledge and the kind of thing that we have has to be changed. And when you see such forums happening, because they normally are invited, some key people around those, some key leaders are invited for those forums. But then when the attendance is poor and the support is not there, it now puts off even the community leaders in terms of being able to organize. Will people come and will people support? So such one is we need to organize such kind of formal trainings continuously. And two, the actual parents need to encourage that they need to come in and they need to bring in their children also, even as young as they are from the teen ages, so that the mindset starts changing. All right, only when the mindset starts changing and people know that it is beneficial to get into business and there's risk associated with it, the solutions of how to get into business, what are the possibilities, how can the Jamaat be able to offer solutions, that's when people start thinking. A lot of times I've met a couple of people and they ask me, how do you generate an idea? And ideas are there every single day. It's like the next bus that is always going to come in next. All right, you have to look around you. But do our young people and do our people know how to generate those ideas? Do they know how to spot those ideas and how to be able to create businesses out of it? Then the element of being shy, of being able to approach, try and see how they can be able to possibly get the funding. But this cannot just come in automatically. It has to be brought in terms of some sort of monthly training or monthly education, but the support has to be there from the parents. That's my take.
Thank you, Stan. So education, imparting the knowledge to our people is key. I would like to hear from Suleiman on his views.
I'd like to just piggyback on Dr. Samira's point and what Sister Nafisa here mentioned, Nasim, sorry, my apologies, mentioned. The thing is that, and the key takeaway of today's program is the mindset. That is the key takeaway. That we have a lot of solutions, we have a lot of work in progress that is ongoing, but that mindset, we just need to look at for instance, welfare in a different lens. So that is a struggle on its own. Now, what happened? I think what Dr. Samira mentioned with regards to us being traders before. We had a renaissance in terms of education. We were not educated, we were dukawalas. Now we are all corporate. Majority of the people are corporate employees. But I feel that it's very important to go through the grinding wheel because that trains you to look at the nitty-gritty. If you're not an employee for these corporates, you don't get the nitty-gritty, the SOPs in place, the key performance indicators. You need to learn all that. That's when you'll be able to run the business, and you have to start from the ground up. You don't start off on a pedestal. Now, circling back to your question with regards to global, to the local opportunities here. At the moment, the market is very saturated. It's a red ocean market. So we need to tap into those niche industries. For example, in the shipping industry, the bread and butter is containerized cargo, but you don't expect, you hardly get 5,000 shillings profit per throughput. So you don't expect to become a millionaire because of containerized business. So what do you focus on? You focus on the project cargo, you focus on the out-of-gauge cargo, the windmill projects, the military contracts, the EPC contracts, where there's a lot of tendering involved, a lot of compliance involved. So that requires a very niche and technical mindset. And for instance, in the IT industry, I don't think people are getting money by selling electronics, laptops. I don't think selling your run-of-the-mill software is also bringing in money. I think ERPs are the in thing right now. the SAP systems are the in thing right now. So to tap into those niche industries is what we need to be able to identify the niche industries within each and every sector of business. That's how we'll be able to identify we will be able to monetize on those ideas or those opportunities. Thank you.
So basically, you're talking of thinking outside the box services as well, in addition to what would be the run-of-the-mill business opportunity. Okay, I would like to wind up, and I would ask, from the US, we have Brother Abdulazim Lavingia, the president of NMJ North America. I would just like to hear his views on what business opportunities are there in the US, and how can the Jamaats
to think, like you said, outside the box or outside the container, maybe. Training them to have a mindset of owning a business rather than being an employee. Right now, the discussion has gone around talking about, our school systems teaching us to be employees. When I was in primary school here, we used to have classes that dictated things like hands-on projects, things like building drums, GCOs, stuff like that, because that was the thought process of Jua Kali at that time. But now, how do we improve on that and make it where it's modern day market? With this economic empowerment project, the funds we have, if it's 200,000, I don't know how much that would fund over here, but if we have more money in it and we raise the value, giving training to those who are getting that, starting with, first thing is creating a business plan. So we have a support system which helps them create a business plan, and then living up to the business plan. Also, a formula like a 50-50 share, where 50% goes to the person running the business, 50% goes back into the Jamaat, till it's all paid off. So cost sharing kind of thing. So the person doesn't own the business till the full amount has been paid off.
So basically, how venture capitalism works. Thank you, President.
Those men, okay, women too, but mostly men who have been businessmen or they have been in employment, but maybe when they reach the age of 48 to 60, and maybe they are forced to retire or they lose their business. And now it's too late for them. I mean, they're not being looked at. They're not at a young age where they can start getting work easily, especially when you're about 50. So how about looking at it's difficult for them at that age to start getting a new job or start building a new business when they close down after maybe 25 years of business, and now they have to start off afresh. So how about even looking at supporting and empowering those people from 48 to 60 who are struggling through COVID? Maybe even they lost. Many people around those in that age group lost jobs, or their business had to close down, and there's no way out for them. They're still struggling. They're still looking for a way out, especially at that age set.
Thank you. That is food for thought. So age demographics we spoke of, right? That's a question that has arisen here. And also the middle class, which somehow seem to have been left out in all of the discussions that we've been having.
Never too late. We are open. We are there to support anybody, young or old. I think we've identified the problems, especially with running these schemes in the Jamaat. What we said is we require formality. We require independence. We require to look at the middle class. We require a bigger pool. Now, I can use the opportunity of Almi Milan when I have people from Canada, USA, UK, and say, look, we need more funds, donate, okay? And let's build this pool. Yes, in Kenya, okay? But we have another way to do this, okay? And that is my second proposal. It caters for the venture capital model. It caters for the Jamaat to have a system that is backed by the Jamaat, that has the trust element that the Jamaat has, okay? And that at the same time can pool the funds sufficiently, one, from the middle class that Dr. Samira is talking about, and to support that very middle class that she is talking about. We need to, Shabir Bhai, it looks like you've read my paper already. It is pooling of our savings. At the moment, everybody has savings and we save. Where do we put them? Okay? Is there a method by which the Jamaat can get people to save with it? Jamaat cha save thela funds mare hikre hante bega thin te ketra thinda ne agar hu pool pawate available way to Jamaat ne hu organization jiki save kare to kuro nikari sagdi hun paise સાથે કેતરો જમાત વાળે કે સાથ નહીં દી શકદી કેટલી વડી industrial businesses શરૂ નહીં કરી શકદી that will employ and support our own people.
And basically our own people then become owners of that business.
Absolutely. It's all Jamaat through and through, from the top to the bottom. In every way, yes, as an investor, Isakwa, and what I'm trying to point out is that in Kenya, we have a tried and tested legally existing model called a SACCO, a Savings and Credit Cooperative Society. It's statutory, it is regulated by the government, and it is supported by a cooperative ministry. It is so important in Kenya, and there are so many existing, that we need to have one in the Jamaat that will cater for all the problems that we've talked about. Independent. Yes, independent.
Thank you so much, Abdul Hafiz. That's an excellent idea, SACCOs. So that I would now wrap up our session. Thank you so much to the panelists. Sorry, Brother Hasnain has a
Yes, just one final point. Today we are here talking about bringing in the global collaboration between the various Nasipuri and Memon Jamaats across. And these are my personal opinions. But if you look at the screen, the logos for every destination is different. The question is, it starts from us first. Why do we need to have it's Nasipuri and Memon Jamaat? All right? Can we not start incorporating that as oneness? We could still have the same logos. That's number one. So, and all of them are different. That's number one. So I think that's where we need to start from if you're going to have a success of this forum. Number two, our chairman has built a fantastic app. I've been studying on that app. You know, the chairman and the team and the managing team have built a fantastic app. I'm sure all of you have used it a lot of times. In fact, all the announcements are there. Can we use that app? Can we adopt that app as the entire Nasipuria Jamaat across the globe? So that is where it starts from. Right? And we adopt that. If you think about majority, 90% of our problems that we are talking about here would be solved by just having that one app that caters for everything within it. Investment opportunities, possible knowledge capabilities, education. Again, we are talking about business and investment. There's various investment opportunities available across, maybe in Canada, at the US, all right? Yes, so that app becomes a one-stop shop where, again, these pool funds can all work together. Investment, everything is discussed on that, even in terms of the health sector. And when we have a whole database of people, so supposedly, if I'm looking at getting some assistance in terms of, in the US about some investment opportunities, I don't have to go through many directions where I have to call someone here, then he'll guide me there, and it becomes too long. I'm able to access it from that app where once we have created our global committees on the various discussions that we are planning to have. But it starts from there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hasnain.
Karibuni Mombasa, suno chachi ne chacha, Memanji biradari, we welcome you to Mombasa. Karibuni Mombasa, suno masi ne masa, Memanji biradari, we welcome you to Mombasa. Karibuni Mombasa. जमात जी मुट्ठी भंडीरी आय एकता जी सुरताल वजीरी आय मेहनत साथे पगे करीनु आय मकसद अलमी जो परीनु आय